I was thinking over why the system wants to teach young children homosexuality. I believe that the reason is trauma. Children have not been alive long enough to rack up the experience necessary to know themselves, in the same way that you do not know if you are a good driver until you have racked up the miles, driven in traffic, at night, in the rain, in the snow, on familiar and unfamiliar roads, narrow roads, have overtaken people, have narrowly escaped incident, etc. Eventually you will have seen enough to have seen it all, and know the kind of driver you are. Children have not seen enough, so they are open to suggestion, just as the new driver is open to advice. Thus, when a teacher suggests that a child is a homosexual or a transgender, the child can entertain the idea. The trauma comes later. Suppose the normal rate of homosexuality is 2% of the population, but the teachers can push it to 10% among the children. What happens when the 8% realizes that they were wrong? Here is the trauma. The children might have spent years living under a false assumption, and now that they know that it was false, how can they trust themselves with the next assumption? They have been wrong once already when they thought themselves correct. Will they ever be correct again? I think that traumatized people like that will not trust themselves to be correct in their decisions, and will therefore demand to be told what to do. They cannot decide for themselves, so Big Brother must decide for them. They will also demand that Big Brother decide for everyone else. If there is no choice, no opportunity to have been correct, then there will be no trauma at being wrong. The trauma comes from knowing that other people did not make a mistake, so what was the matter with those who did? It will be very useful for the system to have 8% of the population or more desperate to be outright told what to think and do. There will be no rebellions from them. Then I thought about where else is trauma brewing. Climate change, diversity, immigration, COVID-19, etc. People are defining their very being by their belief in these things. For some people it is all they have. If the powerful say that diversity is a strength, then anyone, however unremarkable, can get a leg up over others just by agreeing. The more ostentatiously, dramatically, violently they agree, the better. Better than the half-hearted believers, much better than the non-believers, the climate deniers, the far right, the conspiracy theorists. Suppose that the powerful then suddenly turn around and say that the unbelievers were right all along. The bad guys were actually good, and the good guys actually bad. Years of effort, losing friends, losing sweethearts, not having children, informing on people, etc., all to discover that you were the bad guy. Worse, you could have been a good guy, but you refused to be. Traumatic stuff. These people were programmed to think as they did, but they thought that they were free thinkers. Now they will demand to be told what to think. The system can now explicitly command them rather than implicitly. Furthermore, they will demand that there be no alternative. There can be no option to be right or wrong. The trauma comes from picking the wrong option. There can be no picking. Thus I foresee that when the lies of the system are revealed, it will get more powerful. Those people so fervently in favor of refugees, for example, could be traumatized by discovering that refugees are not that great, and they will even more fervently be in favor of refugees if the system tells them to be, and extra fervently in favor of a crackdown on the refugee skeptics, despite the skeptics having been correct all along. What can we do? The system is powerful based on lies, and will be even more powerful when it admits to the lies. The key word is when. The system will try to pick the moment that suits them best. That is no good to us. If the moment of truth can be forced to be earlier or later than ideal for them, then it is better for us. Also, there will be those who get traumatized early, but receive no new orders from the system because they are too early. They could be useful. Hell hath no fury like a minion scorned. I do not know how to change when the moment of truth comes, or how to harness the minions scorned. But I often hear that the truth is on our side. But the truth could play into the system's hands if we let it. It is worth anticipating.